Imagine the sheer heartbreak of families waiting over 700 days for their loved ones to come home, only to face the harsh reality of captivity in a war-torn enclave. It's a story that tugs at the heartstrings and underscores the urgent human cost of conflict. Now, with a glimmer of hope on the horizon, Israeli hostages are poised for release as part of a major breakthrough, and U.S. President Donald Trump boldly declares the war is over. But here's where it gets controversial. Is this truly the end of hostilities, or just a fragile pause amidst deep-seated tensions? Let's dive into the unfolding details and explore what this means for everyone involved. Live updates on the hostages' release in Gaza are streaming right now, providing real-time insights into this pivotal moment. Check out https://www.cnn.com/world Hamas Gaza hostages ceasefire 10/13/25. For Spanish-speaking audiences, there's also coverage in Spanish, available at https://cnnespañol.cnn/mundo/Gaza Liberación Rehenes Israel y Hamas. Take a look at this video from CNN's visit to the hospital where the Israeli hostages are set to be received upon their return. It's a poignant glimpse into the preparations. 011 source CNN https://cnn.com. This hospital will play a crucial role in their initial care, highlighting the medical attention they'll urgently need. Key developments include the anticipated freedom for the 20 Israeli hostages believed to be surviving in Gaza, expected imminently. For more on this, https://cnn.com/world/live news Gaza hostages ceasefire 10/13/25. Post ID equals CMGODVK00003B6NCGW. As a counterpart, nearly 2,000 Palestinian detainees and prisoners in Israeli custody will be set free during this initial stage of the U.S. negotiated truce agreement. To put this in perspective for newcomers to the story, a ceasefire is essentially a temporary halt in fighting, designed to allow for humanitarian actions like prisoner exchanges, but it doesn't always guarantee long-term peace. Think of it as hitting pause on a volatile movie where the plot could resume unpredictably. President Trump is en route to Israel, where he plans to connect with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu later today and deliver remarks to the nation's parliament. He'll also spend time with relatives of the captives to offer support and solidarity. From there, Trump will travel to Egypt for a high-profile gathering on Gaza's future, joined by leaders from over 20 nations, including France's Emmanuel Macron and the UK's Keir Starmer. Details here. https://world/live/Israel-Hamas Gaza hostages ceasefire 10/13/25 #CMGoToWhale. Personal stories add depth to this unfolding drama. Consider Omri Miran, who was seized when Hamas militants invaded his kibbutz Nahal Oz home in front of his wife, Lishay, and their young daughters, Roni and Alma. CNN's Caitlin Collins recently interviewed Miran's brother-in-law, Moshe Lavi, shedding light on the family's ordeal. Watch this compelling video from CNN discussing the daily rituals of the two daughters eagerly awaiting their father's return. It's a touching reminder of the human toll. 029. Source, CNN. /www.cnn.com. As dawn approaches in Tel Aviv, enthusiastic crowds are assembling at Hostages Square, many having camped out overnight in excitement for the imminent liberation of the 20 living captives. This public space has served as the epicenter for demonstrations since the crisis began over 700 days ago, with attendees sharing songs and monitoring a screen for live broadcasts of the reunions. The Hostages and Missing Families Forum's medical experts are issuing important cautions. The path to recovery for the freed individuals and their kin will be lengthy. After enduring inhumane hardships like starvation, lack of health care, isolation, brutality, and mistreatment for 2 years, they'll require intensive medical oversight, psychological support, and tranquility. Most crucially, they need to reclaim their humanity, not just their status as hostages. The team emphasizes prioritizing their well-being in all upcoming choices as ongoing risks persist. For those whose loved ones are deceased, the return of remains for proper burial will enable families to find closure, grieve respectfully, and start healing, a vital step in processing such profound loss. The Israeli administration has outlined the logistics for today's releases. This isn't unprecedented. Past swaps have involved unsettling spectacles by Hamas, such as elaborate, grim ceremonies. See https www.cnn.com/2025-02-020 Hamas Israel hostages release Bibas in TLH. And this is the part most people miss. This time, however, Hamas won't stage any propaganda or disturbing shows, according to Shosh Bedrosian, spokesperson for Israel's Prime Minister's office. Instead, the 20 surviving captives will be handed over to the Red Cross and transported in 6 to 8 vehicles. Upon arrival, they'll reunite with families before receiving treatment at 3 designated medical facilities, per Israeli officials. A dignified event will honor the deceased, and an international team will assist in recovering any unreturned bodies within the 72-hour deadline Hamas had for releases. Once the hostages are securely back in Israel, the agreed-upon Palestinian inmates will be liberated, with Israel releasing 250 serving life sentences plus 1,700 from Gaza detained since October 7, 2023. A prison services representative noted that those with life terms were relocated to deportation centers in Ofer and Ketziat prisons in southern Israel yesterday. Of these, 142 will be expelled, while others will head back to the West Bank or East Jerusalem. Global figures from more than 20 countries are converging on Egypt's Sharm el-Sheikh resort for the Gaza Summit, co-hosted by President Trump and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi on Monday. This event is anticipated to feature a formal peace accord signing. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced his arrival on X, formerly Twitter, on Sunday. Post https. Other attendees include UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, who landed early Monday, alongside Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, French President Emmanuel Macron, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto. Hostage families are heading to Reem. More info, https://www.cnn.com, World, Live News, Israel-Hamas, Gaza Hostages Ceasefire, 10/13/25. Post ID equals CM GOIGIK 720006 ES 4OW, in anticipation of the 20 living captives' release soon. Reem is the designated border crossing point. Releases are slated in 3 groups, 2 from different sites at 8 a.m. local time, 1 a.m. ET, and a third an hour later, based on a reliable source. See https://www.cnn.com, World, Live News, Israel-Hamas, Gaza Ceasefire, Hostages 10/12/25. President Trump is traveling to Israel to meet with captive families and Prime Minister Netanyahu, plus speak before the Knesset, before proceeding to Egypt for the summit with leaders from over 20 nations. Here's a quick rundown of what to keep in mind. Trump's optimism. The president is upbeat about the truce lasting, famously stating to journalists that the war is over. https //IN/BERS and KNNSUIN. Their statement is always satisfactory. The Knesset and the Netanyahu summit will be held. Everything you need to eat a drink. The war is over. So he said. /CNN.com/World Live News Israel-Hamas Gaza Ceasefire /Hostages Hostage 10/12. This bold assertion has sparked debate. Does it signal genuine resolution or premature confidence? Tel Aviv is buzzing with preparations as excitement mounts for the releases, with live feeds planned for public viewing. Prisoner releases. After hostages enter Israel safely, about 2,000 Palestinian detainees will be transported into Gaza, per the Prime Minister's office. Ongoing casualties in Gaza. Since the truce's inception, fatalities have exceeded 300, with hospitals reporting 323 deaths over recent days. 295 from rubble recoveries. Details https www.cnn.com/livenewsaspublication.com. This underscores the fragile humanitarian situation. Progress on aid. The UN reports Israel's green light for more shipments, totaling 190,000 metric tons, seen as a promising start for delivering essential resources. More. https. All of this. Coverage. www.cnn.com/World News IS Israel-Hamas Gaza Ceasefire. Post inside all caps on CNN.com. /pod ensba. Aid convoys ready. Egyptian media outlet Al Qahira News indicates numerous humanitarian trucks are queued at the Rafah crossing, poised for entry into Gaza. A fresh chapter for Israel. Prime Minister Netanyahu described Sunday that the captives' return heralds a new era of recovery and reconstruction for the nation. Families are en route to Re'im, guided by the Hostages and Missing Families Forum. They've been informed that Israel anticipates starts at 8 a.m. local time, 1 a.m. ET, as CNN reported earlier, citing a knowledgeable source. https://11.1.protection.outlook.com. URL equals https://www.cnn.com/world/live-news/Israel/hostages. Data equals 057C Jerome.Taylor@cnn.com 781-184-03DC 74A59B3FA8.F4 0188214559B72D0F1 7C07C0 638959215647255 150WFE 17294A5NPHINT. Enjoy million talk equals 2DC 2FT4. Reserved 00. It's now just past 6 a.m. in Israel. They might not grasp what's unfolding, he expressed, holding his breath until they're physically clear of Gaza. I'm quite sure this will proceed smoothly, he added. In the past, we'd monitor vehicles in Gaza, from boarding Red Cross transport until safe arrival in Israel. And success isn't secured until that point. Hamas won't showcase any propaganda for Monday's releases, per Shosh Bedrosian. Past exchanges featured eerie rituals. Reference https://ANA1144protection.outlook.com. URL equals https://3a%3f%2:2F Middle East. Data equals 05%7 Tim Lister@wbd.com. %351912EC004A 7613B708F47 0E NX45914581F39 %0 7 6389580481641 unknown 7 TWF platform from infancy NCA unknown .NSTH ETWFPILT 3SL equals Sen Oro 5T not being an engaged or captive due victim. That 6 May safe time 1. No one giving you a time frame to arrive at the destination. Incident details. HTTPS Prime Minister Netanyahu delayed liberating 110 Palestinian detainees after broadcasts of throngs celebrating the transfers. In total, 48 captives are slated for release this week. From the October 7, 2023 abductions, 20 are thought alive, 25 deceased, with 2 uncertain. Plus, IDF soldier Hadar Golden's remains from 2014 captivity. Most are Israeli. 4 foreigners, 2 Thai, 1 Tanzanian, 1 Nepali. 3 foreigners confirmed dead. Nepali Bipin Joshi's fate unknown, prompting Israeli worries. All surviving captives are male. 1 deceased is female, Inbar Heyman. Hamas and allies took 251 on October 7, 2023. Since, 148 alive returned, 140 freed, 8 rescued, some deceased bodies repatriated. As we wrap up, let's ponder. Do you believe Trump's war is over claim is realistic? Or does it overlook underlying issues that could reignite conflict? Should prisoner swaps like this one be a standard diplomatic tool, even if it frees individuals convicted of serious crimes? And what about the ethics of releasing terrorists? Does it prioritize justice or peace? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm eager to hear diverse perspectives on this complex topic.